Shalawam, fam. Shalawam. Peace, power to the people. Shout out to Chief Holiday. Put me on to this. Just ran across that video last night from Lisa Cabrera. And sister goes into a lot of stuff that we already been talking about. So it collaborates with everything we've been saying. Y'all check this out for y'all unlearn and don't seem to want to learn. We're going to hit y'all with some of this truth. And we're going to go ahead and give y'all what y'all should be knowing when you're reading into them scriptures. And it tells you, Job 8:8-9, inquire of the former age. So inquire of the former age, the former things, so you can know where you're headed. Because see, we've been disconnected from our heritage. And there is still some brothers and sisters that still speak the language. So when you hear cats talking about where's the language and all this, like we always keep going through, there's Chief Two Hawks and there's all kind of our people that teach the language and everything that still got it, but nobody's speaking nothing from Africa. And then they'll tell you, we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get funky today, y'all. We're gonna put in some work. Because we got too much stuff going on. We got the brother, trying to remember his name. I think it was Mathia. Something like that. Mathia. That goes into the, he was the first brother that was in Canada. Mathia de Costa. Brother in Canada. Because at the least he could speak 5 languages. 5 languages. First Nations. Was here in the 1600s. Knowing all this stuff, Paleface is going to him. Well, let's let the sister, let's listen to what she say. And we're going to get this knowledge, man. We're going to get in abundance today. We're going to put in this work. Y'all going to recognize when it says we were going to be disconnected from our heritage and the language, other than our tribal languages, this language that tied us all together, this Hebrew. That they keep finding all over on these stones and stuff in the Americas. Nothing over in the other land, but right here in the motherland. But let's let the sister speak on it, and y'all just pay attention. Like I said, shout out to Chief Holiday. He put me up on this when I just stumbled across that video, and I was like, what the heck? Sis is going in. Shout out to Cootie Mayo, too, for all the work he putting in. He put in hard work. See you, bro. Much hot. Shalawam. Let's get it, y'all.
And actually, I'm streaming this from 2 of my channels, my main channel and my secondary channel. I was looking at how to do that on StreamYard, and I figured it out. Actually, I'm streaming this from...
There you. Shout out to you, sister. Lisa Cabrera.
There we go. I'm streaming it from both of my accounts, and I didn't think I could do that, but I can. So that's really exciting, y'all. You know, I'm going to wait for a few more people to make it in, and I have some really interesting things I'm going to cover with y'all. And it just opens up some more proof of how we've been lied to all this time, y'all.
Yeah.
And we know that in this society, they have done nothing but lie to us on a 24-hour non-stop cycle. And they're going to continue to.
Not to cut the sister off, but they're lying, and you guys still be going for this. Like, come on, man. We in the end of the days, man. All this knowledge is going to and fro in the earth, going back and forth all over the earth, just ping-ponging. And y'all still going for the okie doke? Come on, man. We got to wake up, man. Let's shake this off, man. Let's shake this off. Y'all need to get with your genealogy. Shout out to the brother Love Legacy. I got as far as I could with mine in the early 1800s, and he going to go ahead and finish it off. I done paid him and letting him do it, and this is what y'all need to be doing. Find out who you are. A lot of us, we find out we got mixed tribes, all kind of, you can go through the surnames and all that, and you're going to find out a lot. So I push that you guys get your genealogy done, like seriously, through whoever you know. The brothers and sisters is all on here with these channels. I think Phoenix Moon them, I think they do it too. Y'all got to get this going, man. Seriously. Get your genealogy done so you can leave your family with something. I see everybody keep talking about it, but it don't seem like nobody's getting it done. Let's make this happen. And for y'all that's speaking on it and got these platforms and stuff, y'all need to be sharing this stuff. Share your genealogy. I've been sharing mine. And I'm going to share some more when Love Legacy. I got some stuff right now that I'm going to share with you guys throughout this video. You know, so we're going to get to it. Listen with the sister. Let's let her speak. Because she's dropping some, bombs. She's got arrows going everywhere.
To do this. Just understand, they are never going to stop lying to us about our history.
Never.
This is why it's up to us. To research the history and learn what it is. We cannot rely on people that enslave us to be the ones that tell our story. We have to tell our story. We have to
tell our story. Us. Can't rely on somebody else. What's up to us? Remember, knowledge is power. Not those in power have knowledge, or those in power. They're not really in power. We can take all that back. But y'all keep forgetting knowledge is power. Not those that are so-called in power have all the knowledge. We do. We just temporarily letting them bring everything to a close and collapse, and we've seen where it happened, what it got us. Let's get it.
Make sure when we tell our stories that you're able to do it and pass it along. We need to do our story and make sure it's passed along so other people can know what the facts are when it comes down to our people. Now, One of the things they love to do, ladies and gentlemen, is to make us believe that we were all dragged over here from Africa.
Biggest lie.
And we've come a long way. At one point in time, a lot of folks in our community would have believed that. But now that we have access to the internet and we can research so many things, we now know that's not the truth. There were many Black people in the land.
Many so-called Black people in the land. Not many. The whole land mass was filled with us. This is why when you go on the census and you look at your people and you look at everybody that's living around them, you're not finding any of these Mongols. Seriously, you're not. You're not finding them in abundance. You're not finding them at one or two. That's why it's important to look at just go on familysearch.org. It's free. You go on there. Ancestry.com is running a 14-day free trial. You can go on there and just look. Just look at the census and stuff. Go into the 1800s, 1900s, 1700s and look on them. The brother Opie Mija is reading this kind of stuff too. He's reading you guys off this, where people was running around in the 1600s, our people. Owning, farming, doing everything. Some maybe enslaved over there. Some owning stuff over here. How is this possible? You think right when they got here, it was cracking. Until you start getting into the recent times, which is it's a lie. When you start reading into this, you're like, man, you thought they had everybody, the whole continent enslaved. They brought over 12.6 million so-called Africans. No, false. No Africans. And if they were, there was a small bit of them that was coming with the Pilgrims. Because I got some bombs for y'all when we read into these Callaways, which is my mom's side. My great-grandmother is a Callaway. Elma C. Calloway, which my mom is an Elma. And one thing you'll learn about genealogy, y'all, as you do your genealogy, you'll learn a lot. You'll learn how the people survived that we lost at this generation, in this present time. They always kept naming their kids the same names to honor their elders and stuff. My mom's an Elma. My great-grandma was an Elma. And you go back further and you keep finding Elmas and Elmas. A-L-M-A. And then you're going to find all these similar names. Moses. You're going to find another Moses in your family. Another Moses. They kept going doing this. Maybe to keep track. To give us these breadcrumbs. To leave us this. You're going to find all these names that keep going. It's very important that you see this. And one thing, we always stay together. When you look at these households, they was 15 deep, 12 deep, and they was owning stuff and farming and all that. Like you see with my Potts side of my family, when I showed y'all that Potts Road and things like that, that's posted on some of my videos. That road I'm going to put up on this video too, the picture. And we're going to go back down there, me and my son, to Rayville, Louisiana, and we're going to take a picture right there on the road too. That's our ancestors. That's why it's important for you to do this genealogy, and it's important for you to look at the census and stuff so you can see who was all living around you. And know what you're owed. It's important. Because the people stayed in these households and they have big households and they own their own stuff. Now we got a household of one or two people or one single woman with 5 kids. And we're so divided from each other. Back then you would see the male, the head of the household, the wife, and then you have an auntie stand there, her husband, some other relative kin folks and stuff stand there, and they all made it work. They put it together. Like how you see these Asians that come over here, they'll stay 5 and 6, 7 deep in the house and help their mom, their parents, them pay off the house. They all riding in new cars, everything's paid off. But and that's why we got to understand why we're so special, because we were the ones divided intentionally with all this mislabeling. Labeling some of them color, some of them Negro, some of them get to be mulatto, some of them get to be Indians. So all this Willie Lynch, dark skin versus light skin. We all had all these colors here in the America continent, just like the so-called Africa. Over there they have all the colors. We've always had that. The only difference is we've been mixed, mingled together through the wars, tribes going up to take refuge with other tribes and marrying into them tribes. Same thing like I told you guys before. You see it in the gangs. One gang, you'll see all these gangs was one gang at first, or they wasn't even Bloods or Pyrus or Crips. They was their own. They was like, had this, okay, we the hustlers. And then as they started getting pressed and having other rivals and stuff, then they became, okay, now let's bond over here with these Pyrus over here. Let's get with them and let's put the P on ours. So all gangs is, they're everywhere. It didn't just start in LA. Everybody's had gangs. We've always had gangs in our community. They're tribes. Just a group of kids with nothing to do. We might be swimming together. That's how you get all the swan bloods and all that. That comes from when they were swimming. Crenshaw. When you look up the word Crenshaw, that's a melon, a fruit. So when you think of Crenshaw Mafia Bloods or the Crenshaw where the Rolling 60s is at, that they was fighting over this, that's a fruit. So when you look at these guys with Crenshaw tattooed on them, run around with Crenshaw shirts, you're like, man, they represent a fruit. Like, these cats is hard. Killing cats, killing each other, and representing a fruit. We represent everything around us. Trees. You got all this. Cabbage Patch. The Cabbage Patches. You got Cabbage Patch Bloods, Pyrus, and all that. And Carson. So, I mean, this is what y'all got to understand. Well, let's let the sister go ahead and speak. I don't want to take up. And let's let her do her thing, and then we're going to chime in and do our thing also. Shout out to you, Lisa Cabrera.
and been here for thousands of years. Never let people that floated over here from somewhere else tell you what your history is. Their asses came from somewhere else. When did they become the experts of the history everywhere? They're not. They're not.
They're not.
That is fake.
Fake.
That's fake.
Y'all give them the power.
And
we give
them
the
must
power.
See it for what it is, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, you never let people that don't have your best interests at heart tell your story.
Exactly.
We must tell our own stories. We're fully capable of doing that.
Yes.
Many of us have been here for generations, more generations than the average white person. Many black people.
We've been here for generations. Generations from the beginning. Than anybody. Not just pale faces and pilgrims. Any of them. Mongols, we're the trees that sprouted here in the Americas. We're them trees. And that's something that we need to get into and start to understand and tap into. Now let's go into this, what she was talking about, right? Not to cut the sister off again, but these people that come here that don't have a home, looking for homes, they settle everywhere. Australia, and become the people everywhere. Philippines, y'all know the Negritos, those original people. All the original people are copper colored, so-called black people. Y'all seem to have a problem with this. But let's go into this Callaway surnames real quick. Because I want to read something to y'all that should strike out to you. Callaway migration to the United States. They're talking about the palefaces now, because we already had the Callaways here. And there's many names there's many ways. That's one thing you're going to find out about the genealogy. Y'all don't just get discouraged, because the names be changing. How we change. How we always keep getting updates and we speak Ebonics and all that stuff they claim and all that. We get hip and we change things. Right? So you got to understand that the names have changed. You can spell Callaway, Calloway, or as you'll see with golfing and all that, Calla. Instead of the O, it'll be an A, Way, and then you have the K, Ellay, Way. So there's all kind of ways that you can spell these names that you guys got to start playing with when you're looking for your people. There's a lot of these names that we start to change. You'll see it over the years. The further back you'll see, and then as you start doing your genealogy and you start looking, once you start knowing from the further back and you see all this, and then you start going back into the modern, you start backtracking and going forward, you start to see as the names start to change. Just as we start to change. We went from wearing, but it comes back around. We went from wearing bell bottoms and all this stuff, and you guys see the trends come back. The 80s look and all that stuff. So, for political, religious, and economic reasons, thousands of English families, these are the pilgrims, boarded ships for Ireland, the Canadas, the America colonies. All this stuff that they're doing. They're searching for a home. Y'all know that Ireland and all that was copper colored people. We've been everywhere. The people have been everywhere. The indigenous people, the original people, are always going to be people of color, so-called black people. And y'all know that. Europa, they tell you that was a myth. Just like Queen Khalifa. They tell you those are myths. Who's making these myths up? Not them. You tell it they've been enslaving us, they don't like us. So who are the people making these myths of the land? Of so-called black people. Ruling there, Europa. So-called black queen. Queen Khalifa. So-called black queen of the Americas. But the America colonies, this is where they came to. Ireland, the Canadas, America, and many of smaller tropical colonies in hope of finding better lives abroad, better homes. They needed some place to go. How they came here and how they got injected into the game, y'all know how that is. Y'all know what the Most High said. And you know what these fallen ones have done. And how they keep abducting them and giving them updates and all that. And then tagging them with like they tag the animals. Giving them chips. Same way that they do. And want to chip everybody else up. Like they done chip the animals and they get chipped and abducted and say things is in them or things is taken out sperm and creating these things. So these are the nation that was brought against us. And not all of them are the same. And not all of them got injected into the game. There's a certain family that was injected into this game and was brought down. And these certain blood types that get abducted and all this crazy stuff and things like that. But although the passage on the cramped, listen to this, they give us this story like it was us. Although the passage on the cramped, dank ships caused many to arrive in so-called New World, which is the old world, our world, new to them, they brought disease and they were starving. Those families that survived the trip often went to make valuable contributions to those new societies to which they arrived. Early immigrants with an I bearing the Callaway surname or a spelling variation of the name. So this is what when they came here, they snatching names up and, but Callaway is a name that they were saying was a coat of arms or a crest and coat of arms in England. Was that the Southern tribe? I don't know. Is that where they were settling at? Is this where all the Northern, where we at? There's really a big connection with all this, what we talk about, that you guys can't seem to do, put together with the Yasharala and the Indians, and this being the land. Right? Let's let the sister speak. Let's get it.
Predate white people in this land. Now, they'll talk about the natives.
Us.
But many of those natives were black.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen.
So-called.
Many of them were.
Copper color.
Not only were these natives black, these natives sometimes were the entire, and that's what I'm getting ready to tell you about when it comes down to the state of New Jersey.
Scalp them, sis.
Before the pre-Columbus days, the state of New Jersey was filled with native black Indians, the whole state.
So-called black.
Back in those times, it was not called New Jersey.
Nope.
It was part of Delaware.
There we go.
And these men and women that lived throughout the state, different tribes,
yep,
all had black blood.
So-called
now,
they were
when
black.
You look around today, you're like, okay, well, where are the mass graves? In the state of New Jersey, the U.S. government buildings are built on top of the mass graves.
And she's so
Many
right.
Of these resident.
She's so right with that. Because down here in Texas, where I'm at now, in Houston, they have so-called graves that they just found, not of Native Americans, that they keep finding so-called black people. They finding all these graves, and they're digging over them, building up places over them. I'm going to get into that Black Hope, too. That's in Texas. Right here in Tomball. Which y'all going to find out where the real poltergeist story was going on. With this Caucasian couple in that neighborhood, they was going through it. And they come to find out, they said that was a so-called slave burial. Where so-called black people were buried. And then you look up and you get the movie. Right? Y'all get the movie. And then it's telling you that these were so-called in the movie. They're saying this is Indian. This was Indian territory. And they got the Indian so-called Native American dude, the Mongo, in there playing the role. talking to the father, and he's like, why? He's going back at the realtor's like, why'd y'all sell me this house on this land? This really happened here in Houston. So what she's telling you is right. They be burying stuff on top of there. The people are getting mad now. They got the NAACP out there saying it's wrong, but they done already started moving some of the bones. And they tell them do not do anything else on this land. But until we start to wake up, man, they just gonna do what they do. It's only a small amount of people that's voices that's really not being heard. The louder we get together and band, because you see all these tribes, see all the brothers and sisters with these tribes, and make you not even want to be a part of a tribe, because there's so much pale faces that's all in them. Until we start to wake up and come into our tribes, then we can start seeing our more people, and we can start putting on and having power like it's supposed to be done, with good soulful music, singing, the real singers and all that. Not just this, like you being in some type of Catholic church where it's just stiff and no rhythm, no soul in there. This is what we got to do. That's why they're telling you guys to vibe up, tribe up, and rise up. Because then we can all get together and be doing our powwows and things like that. Instead of us going into understanding who we are and then joining these tribes and then seeing the majority pale faces and stuff, and you got to be subject to them. And they're governing over us still. We got to take all this back. The power is being transferred back to us. Now it's up to us, like the sister's telling y'all, for us to get it back. Let's get it.
Residential neighborhoods that were built on top of slave cemeteries.
Yes.
This is why many of these things are not visible. We should see many slave cemeteries all over the place. You notice how we don't see them?
Yep. We ain't seeing no Native American ones. And no disrespect. And look here. When I talk about Mongols and stuff, I'm not being disrespectful to anybody. I'm not targeting people. And I don't have no hate in my blood. And I still have to follow protocol what the homies is doing. If you guys is looking on any of these, the brother Skip Townsend, the OG homie and stuff, you see what they're doing? They're showing you guys that they've been uniting the people all throughout LA. They're uniting when we used to all be together, us and the Hispanics, or Latinos, or whatever you guys want to address that as, which have a lot of our ancestry in them, as y'all do your research and you'll find, they're calling peace treaties. So not only are we having peace treaties amongst ourselves, we're bringing back in this unity that we used to have when the Latinos came in and we embraced them. And we used to share similar hoods and getting their tattoos and things because they was around with us and they were getting our tattoos because we had an affiliation. Even though we might be rivaling with this other gang, aka tribe, we had a unity. And it got broken when they put the drugs and all that in there. And from there, it divided us as a people. And then that's when all this racial stuff came into play. And it wasn't about gangs and tribes anymore. It was about a racial thing. So I respect the homies and what they're doing, the older homies. And I'm not going to tread on that. And I'm not going to, if you see any of my past videos that's speaking on that, that's not how I moved today. That was out of frustration out of the people. And that's not really how I move. Sometimes I connect with the people's energy. And I feel that when they're saying they're being disrespected by so-called Mongols or Latinos and things like that. And I feel like I take it amongst myself on this platform to speak on that. But I have to respect protocol. And when the G homies and stuff is doing this unity, I have to respect that. I'm not about chaos or dividing. What they're doing, I'm following protocol. They're laying that foundation. So I can't go against that. So y'all got to understand it. And it's not cool to be using or leaving hateful comments and stuff like that against Latinos and so-called Mongols, the Indians, mestizos, because that's what all the people are, and that's not disrespectful. And I'm not using that as a disrespectful term. So it's really time for unity in the communities. Because as together we can move. And then as we've been tricked to calling ourselves black, that's the same way that they call us that. And they'll call themselves brown because you're not using it. So everybody has everything of us. Native Americans, the so-called Mongols, will tell you that they're the ancient ones of Yasharala and this and that, because we don't claim that. We're everything but what we need. And all this stuff, like I told you, when you're looking at the biblical aspect of it, look at it as historical. So all this stuff ties in with you. It all ties in with you. And all of it's been dispersed amongst everybody. Everybody all over has it, just like everybody all over the world has their talents. They all want to rap, dance, break dance. All these the Jabberwockies, all these people all want everything that you're giving them. You allow them to have. So let's peep. Let's get it, sis. It's all respect to everyone. Let this knowledge be the truth. Not anyone's feelings. A lot of these people, from the beginning, they've been sharing a lot of our history with us. And that's the so-called Latinos and so-called Native Americans. And we're going to get into all the, like how we've been, they've been there with us also. When you look up, I'm going to get into some names, but let's get it.
You notice how we don't see mass graves of the natives? Because they built all kinds of things on top of those graves.
Yes,
everywhere in New Jersey where you see a U.S. government building, that is the same site of a mass grave of native Indians.
Yep.
Absolutely. In New York, too. New York and New Jersey, Pennsylvania, all these states were very well connected. Still
very well connected. That's what old Dirty Bastard was talking about, how places in New York was their ancestors' land and all that. Sacred land. What was it, Manhattan or something like that? Those areas. And they take it and build up on it. And give you a little monument or something. And you don't even know the whole dang empire is yours. Let's get it.
Still are very well connected. A couple of years back, ladies and gentlemen, the Smithsonian took slave shacks out of the state of New Jersey and relocated them.
They take everything.
Yes, we had slave shacks here.
Giant
There were
bones.
slave shacks up in New York, too.
The giants of the Americas, all them bones, the Smithsonian come. There's all kind of stories about that you can read. Look it up. Come in there and they take everything. The men in black, that's them. Come through and sweep up the scene. Like they're the cleanup crew. Taking all the evidence. But they can't take everything. Because they hold buildings of. They couldn't even keep it. There's so much evidence. They can't hide nothing. That little bit of stuff that they got, still all kind of stones and everything showing you the paleo and pictograph Hebrew stuff here. And man, everything's here, man. This is it. This is the motherland. This is where everything is. Roswell, all that stuff. And they got the same thing over in England too. Rosham. Right? We got all this high strangeness going on. But none over in the so-called Africa and Middle East and all that. See all the UFO abductions and all this stuff all here. This is the motherland. This is where everything go down. But just know you protect it. And another thing, y'all better be careful. Messing around with them West Africans and stuff. Y'all play if y'all want to. And y'all see that coronavirus. And remember who is doing what. Who's colonizing Africa right now? West Africa? The China. So don't be surprised you see that coronavirus start popping up over there and tearing up them people. So be careful who you're trying to mix and mingle with and all that. Mess around and been a fell out somewhere and got a hold of the plagues that's coming on all these other people. And all taking crafty counsel against us. All of them. Knowing that name was never, Africa was never used, and then they had to go ahead and adopt and take it. All these people know their indigenous language, don't call these things China, but they'll adopt it and take it. Pay attention. Let's get it.
And many of the ones that survived, the Smithsonian Institute have them. This is why you don't see them. We should see them all over the place. There were millions of people in this country that were slaves. You notice how you don't see a lot of the slave shacks? Do you see the extent these people have gone to cover all of this history up?
Phew. But it's so much they still can't.
They have a lot of evidence. The Smithsonian got a lot of evidence.
They do, but we got a lot more.
What I'm about to tell y'all. All right, y'all. I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to get started. We got 149 people. Please hit the like. Ladies and gentlemen, please hit the like. All right. Okay, y'all. Here we go. All right, give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Please give me a 1.
Let's get it, sis.
Thank you.
Scalping season.
Thank you very much.
Scalping season.
All right. All right, family.
We still got all the evidence, bones
Great.
And everything.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can go to either one of my channels to watch this. I got it broadcasting on both channels simultaneously. So that I just wanted everybody to be included on about what I'm about to say, because this does impact all of us. All right. And even you nasty, grimy trolls out there, you pay attention too, because I know you're there.
Pay attention.
You mofos follow me around like shit left on the street, sitting there with a bunch of flies on it. All right, let's get started.
Let's
family.
get it. Munsee, Lenape, Shawnee Indians.
All right. In my state of New Jersey, there were 3 primary tribes.
A.K.A. Delaware.
The Munsee, Lenape, and Shawnee Indians. Look at what these Indians look like. Look at how melanated they all were. Okay? The U.S. government does not recognize the Munsee, Lenape, or Shawnee tribes as legitimate Indian tribes. You know why? Because they were all black. That's why. They were all black tribes. So they were excluded as far as being counted as Native Americans. They are exactly us. They're not different, y'all. They're
not different. Only thing is, they get left back in statuses. Some get left as African Americans. Some get left as Negro, colored. This is what happens. And this is how they played us. It's how they done the people. The name games. So as you see, everything keeps changing. Callaways, all changed. K's, C's, C-A-L-L-O, C-A-L-L-A, K-A-L-L-A, K-E-L-L-A. This is how they play the games. And the same thing was done with us. No, you're gonna be a Negro. You dark. Nah, you can be a mulatto. Yeah, you can be an Indian. You follow protocol. You follow our protocol, you can be an Indian. You can keep your status. See how they be doing that? That's the Willie Lynch. And that's what put us against each other. Let's get it.
Our forefathers. They are us. Okay, yeah. I know about the Indians in some of the other states. You're right. The Seminole Indians, you're absolutely right. But right now...
She's talking about hers, but that's all across the board. Not just with the Muncie, the Napi, the Shawnee. That's what all across the board. Let's get it. All across the board, y'all. So don't feel left out. But it's up to us. To wise up, tribe up, rise up.
I am focused on the Indians in my state that were in my state at one point in time. Ladies and gentlemen, the entire state of New Jersey, prior to the white man stepping foot on the soil, was part of the 13 colonies. Not only was it part of the 13 colonies, it was an all-black state. You hear me? I didn't stutter.
Check the census.
New Jersey was an all-black state.
Check the census.
Not only was it an all-black state prior to the white man showing up, the language spoken in the state of New Jersey was Hebrew. And I'm going to prove it to you today.
Shots fired.
All of these different tribes. And this is the way the white man throws you off.
What? It was Hebrew?
This tribe spoke this language. And this tribe spoke this language. Always go to the root of that.
Like we didn't have no language that we could speak to communicate with each other. Yeah, we got our tribal language. Then we got our top language. Well, we can all speak on it. You must all know this. And this is how you get cut from your heritage. With the proof. And then you can read about it. It always talks about how the languages are close. You have the Maccabee Israel written in 1650. The scholar Menashe ben Israel suggests that a brand of South and Central American Indians were a remnant of so-called Jews. They were Yasharala, sent to exile by King Assyria, and from the lost 10 tribes. You have all these they're recorded a number of parallels and cultural practices between the so-called Jews, Yasharala, and the Indians, who's Yasharala. Some examples include their division into tribes, their appointment of holy priests, their manner of counting the months through lunar year, their festivals, which we have all the lunar calendars and all that. Their festivals, so all these festivals that they're doing, the pilgrims, belongs to y'all. And they have names for all of us. They have names, indigenous names that we're using. So all this Christmas and stuff, these were winter festivals and things and stuff in the Bible and gathering it. Things that should make sense to you. They don't bring nothing new. They just put a little twist on it. Like we used to say in the back in the street game, they put a gypsy twist on it. B12 it. Some which claim correspondent with the Jewish so-called calendar, their fast and religious rites which they believed helped cleanse them of their sins, their laws of uncleanliness and marital separation during a woman's menstrual period, their ritual purification after touching the dead. And we touch a lot of the dead, and we're in a state of brokenness right now, touching on the dead bodies in the funerals, filled with all them chemicals and everything. So we got to do a purification of ourselves and of this land. Because they haven't given her a chance, and we're touching it and destroyed it, and it's unclean. And like I said before, there's people out here dying on these lands because the lands are so contaminated. So it's not smart of you to go out there and feel like you're trying to connect with the land and run around there barefoot, when it's causing cancer and it's killing off people over there in acres homes and all these other areas and ghettos and stuff, aka reservations that our people are on. Their manner of mourning and burying the dead, things like that. All this stuff is, they're saying, have in common with the so-called Native Americans, the so-called you people, the real people, the American Indians, aka the blacks, so-called Negroes. This is y'all. So let's get it.
Language, and you will realize the whole damn thing was Hebrew. They spoke nothing but straight up Hebrew back in the 1400s in the state of New Jersey.
Adair claimed that the Jews and Indians have similar languages and dialects, with both languages lacking prepositions and formed with prefixes and suffixes. Adair also provided examples of so-called Native American words that are supposedly similar to Hebrew words. In one example, he referred to the word for man in the Indian language, which is Ishi or Ish. Then you have a language, it says, another notable incident in the 1800s that refueled a dying database was the discovery of the Newark Holy Stones, found in a cluster of Indian mines in Newark, Ohio. Some of the stones were written with the modern Hebrew alphabet, while others were archaic or Paleo-Hebrew, a language that dates back to the pre-Columbian times. The stones contain the name of the Most High spelled out in Yud-Ke Wahe, an abbreviated version of the Ten Commandments, and an engraving of what historians believe to be Moses, surrounded by ancient Hebrew lettering. Some years later, the Los Lunas Decalogue stone, an 80-ton boulder with the abridged version of Ten Commandments in Paleo-Hebrew, was found in New Mexico. These discoveries sparked a reaction from both historians. And then you go into Chief Joseph Riverwind, the representative tribe leader of the Northern Arawak tribal nation of South America and the Caribbean, dismisses the skepticism as ethnocentrism. A descendant of the B'nai Anuism of cryptic Jews, Riverwind is among the few who believe that so-called Native Americans share the same ties with so-called Jews. Chief Riverwind shared his atypical sentiments in an interview with Breaking Israel News. In the interview, he shared a translated prayer, which he believes is reminiscent of the Shema prayer, Shema Shema Neya Papasaka Haya Ayah, was translated to listen, listen, people, as you gather together, we will dance before the Creator. So all y'all that think you didn't have a creator, you have a creator. And the ancient Indians knew this, which is you, but somehow you want to say, well, I don't believe in all that, and we wasn't, your ancient ancestors was doing this. They knew there was a creator. So get with the program. Stop trying to take things and take it for what it is. It is what it is, the truth. Stop trying to divide yourself from the Most High. There's always been a Wakanda. That's the name of the creator. Ancient Indian language. So stop trying to separate yourself out of there and take the truth for what it is. And look at the biblical historical accounts and know this is what your ancestors was talking about.
They spoke Hebrew in Canada. In fact, up and down the east coast of America, Hebrew languages were spoken everywhere, in every state.
They spoke it in Canada. And that brings us back in the 1600s. Mathia da Costa, which we was talking about. First so-called black man recorded in Canada. He's a national hero. The Pilgrims sought after him to help them speak. He spoke at the least 5 languages. They looking for him now. We need him. We need him to come over here and talk with these Indians. He spoke the all kind of languages, the indigenous languages, Hebrew, all this, and this is what the sister's talking about in Canada. And just so happened the brothers all over there too, translating, being a translator for everybody, or for the pilgrims. Come on, man.
All right. Native American tribes of New Jersey. So, back in the day, ladies and gentlemen, the entire state was once referred to as being part of Delaware. See, this is why you see Delaware, Muncie, Delaware, Unami, Delaware, and this is why you see Delaware, because back in those times, before the white man renamed it to New Jersey, it was called Delaware.
Speak on it. Bring the truth to light.
There are no federally recognized Indian tribes in New Jersey today.
They got misclassified. They're Negroes. No, they're African Americans now.
What they did, Indians were slaughtered in the state of New Jersey. The ones they did not slaughter, ladies and gentlemen, they took these Indians and relocated them to Oklahoma. And see, that's another thing that took place in the country. Not only were Indians massacred, many of them were uprooted from where they were born and raised, and they were thrown into different states onto reservations.
Your ghettos.
Many Native American people.
Your ghettos. That's their reservations. Your ghettos. That's where they put them in. Projects. To use you as a project. That's where they put them at.
People were reclassified as black.
Negroes, colored, mulattoes, African Americans.
Oklahoma, that's right. Now, a lot of these Indian tribes that are there were not always there. Just understand,
Nope.
Oklahoma became a dumping ground for Indians that they had defeated. And the remaining ones ended up in Oklahoma. And
this was us. Indians was hunting Indians and siding with people. And you read that in the Seminole Wars, where you read about how they started making treaties and stuff and getting land down in Mexico and stuff like that, and coming back and fighting their own people to stay in certain positions. The Seminole War was that's the main war. It was going down. But as they started to relax and everything and wanted to just settle in and went down there, they started getting them, okay, well, if you guys want this or you want certain things, you're going to have to come up here and help us fight these other tribes, which they was doing. So that's what they do today amongst us. Drugs, guns, and all that keep us fighting each other and helping them. Because that helps them because they can't control us. They need us to kill each other off. And then they come in and try to bring up these laws and RICO acts and start snatching up the remainder of us. Telling us we can't be in these certain areas. Saying what they was doing with them if you was using the word Indian. If you're running around here with these certain hot areas, these gangs, and you're caught with them colors on, snatch him up. And he's a shot caller too. This is how you take the head out the gang. So this is the games they play. Let's get it.
The federal government refused to recognize Indian tribes in New Jersey. Most Native Indians were forced to leave New Jersey during the 1700s when Eastern tribes were being displaced by colonial expansion. So these folks were expanding their living space, taking over places that once where Indians were thriving.
Mm-hmm.
and they took them and threw them out so that the white man could build his home and make the lands his. All right, so
y'all hear that? You're dealing with what I read to y'all with the Callaways. These ones that was coming over, they take these names and stuff. They came over. It was the Pilgrims that came over by the millions. Disease-stricken, and what y'all was reading. Sick, hungry. That's the Afrikaans. The Africans that was brought here. Them is the people that came by the boat, the shiploads, and needed a place. And this is what they do.
So these tribes are not extinct. They're not extinct yet.
None of them. They're all misclassified.
But except for descendants of New Jersey Native American people who hid or assimilated into white society, they do not live in New Jersey anymore. Most tribes that once were native to New Jersey ended up on Indian reservations in Oklahoma.
The ghettos across the Americas.
So all of these black tribes at one time that was thriving in the state got thrown out.
And they did put a lot of them amongst each other, clustering them, and this is where you get all this mixing and mingling. This is how you get all these, when you start looking at your family and stuff, and going through and looking at these Native American names on the census, and looking up your last name and stuff, this is how you get all this stuff. This is how you get all these, part of the Cherokee tribe, part of the Choctaw tribe, part of all these other different tribes, Creek, Seminole, all this stuff all plays into that.
The ones that survived the massacres, they were thrown out. You know, there are so many stories that need to be told, y'all, that have not been told even once yet. Now, when I went to school, you
got a Caucasian that's talking about the Seminole Wars and stuff, that's been talking about this way back before a lot of y'all started even knowing who you were. So what I'm saying, we got to wake up, like she's saying, and a lot of the brothers and sisters saying, wake up, tell your own story, do your own research. Inquire about the former things, as the scriptures say. The former age, so you know which way to go, who you are. That's why. As you're waking up now, inquire about it.
He did talk about the Native American tribes that once existed in New Jersey. Hell, there are even schools named Lenape and Shawnee here in my state. So they know what kind of Indian was here. They named some of the schools after these tribes.
Exactly.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into this, because this is going to get deep. So please pay attention. This is going to get very deep. The Lenape Indians. I had a white teacher, female teacher, tell me, and everybody in my class, of course, that these Indians were once in New Jersey, and they spoke a language called Unami. Unami. Okay? And there were other tribes. Now, the Munsee tribe and the Shawnee tribe spoke a language called Algic. So Unami and Algic. Now, when you hear those two names, you would automatically think, well, these tribes spoke totally different languages. No, ladies and gentlemen, it's all Hebrew.
Bingo.
It's all Hebrew. Hebrew Unami Dictionary Online. It's all Hebrew.
Well, Israel Redemption been telling y'all.
But the white man wants you to believe that these Indians all spoke different languages. And I said, well, how could they all be in the land all these generations and thousands of years and everybody spoke a different language? They didn't speak different languages, ladies and gentlemen. They
just exactly what she's saying. Just like we all speak English, and then you can have your own dialects, and like the South has theirs. They call it country. West Coast, we have ours. East Coast has their way, and how, son and kid, and, the dialects and things that they say. This is what she's talking about in the lowest common denominator, so y'all can understand that. All just transform into former times, into those past times, ancient times. That's what you get. Let's get it.
Spoke Hebrew. So it's very confusing when they talk about an Indian tribe and they'll say, well, this is the tongue they spoke. Always go back and look at where that tongue originated. All language has an origin. Always remember that. All languages have an origin.
And that's the truth. And as you can see, with the Islam thing that's spreading all over, especially in the Middle East, and you can see all the different ethnicities and stuff, like the Africans, from east to west, Africa, South, and all that. If they all come up under that Muslim, foundation, they have that as Islam to speak, which is broken Hebrew too, spin off of the Hebrew, right? But they also know that, Ashanti, and they have their regular language that they speak amongst each other. And then when they're on a global scale, they have this to identify with. If they're down in South Africa or North or wherever they're at, if they're up under that Muslim banner, they know how to communicate with each other. Same way with us here. So just keep paying attention, doing your research, searching diligently. Acts 17:11. Believe what no man tells you, but search. Scriptures, search. Anything you're searching out for to make sure it be true what you've been told. Search yourself.
And that origin is Hebrew.
Shalawam, shalawam.
Okay, it's Hebrew. North American redskin, there is nobody with red skin walking around here. Okay, that red skin, that's crap you got from the white man. Nobody is walking around here with red skin, just like no one is walking around here with black skin. People are different shades of brown. They're not black.
Y'all hear that? Do y'all hear that? It's time to wake up, man. Shake it off. Shake off the spells. Wake up, man. Wake your game up. Put your game face on. It's time to play. It's time for us to take these cats to school. Take the world to school. Let them know who we are. That we recognize all the contributions and what we contributed to the world. What we've given. Everything up. Even from all the way to our DNA. Passing it and putting babies in all different kinds of people. Women are women. Sleeping with all different other types of people. They go back to their lands. Give them the DNA. And this is what you see. On a broader aspect.
Even when you look at white people, they're not white. They look pink, and some of them even look like a peach color. So don't come here with that red man stuff, because I can tell right there, You are buying into
You're misguided.
what the white man done told you what you are. You are a slave to what he said you are.
Yeah.
Red skin? You don't have red skin. Look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. Pick up a piece of red cloth and stand in the mirror and you tell me if it looks the same. It don't.
And just like Chief Holiday said, which I've known since all the brothers and sisters in Israel Redemption was bringing out that etymology, when you look up red, it's just ruddy, brown. So that right there, you know, she's looking at it from what the mainstream calls red. But when you go into the origin of it, it's ruddy, it's brown. So let's get it.
Those are classifications that were given to your people by white people.
Crayon colors.
And you still trying to use it for yourself.
Markers.
That says a lot about you.
Markers that mark you. Mark you deemed as a bullseye. Now we say that in the hood, oh, he's a mark. That's what that black word puts on you, a mark, a tag, a bullseye, for you to get picked off. That's what a mark is. You put an arrow, you put a bullseye on your back and get an arrow or a bullet to your head. Don't be a mark. Don't be a marker. Don't be a color, crayon. You're more than that. You owe your ancestors everything that they left you. Go and find your heritage so you can wise up, and then you can tribe up and you can rise up. We can get amongst each other and find out who is who. And start doing what we need to do to get back to what we need to get back to. What we discontinued from. Let's get it.
All right. So the Lenape spoke a Hebrew called Unami. All right. And ladies and gentlemen, they spoke this tongue all the way through the time they were relocated to Oklahoma. There are still very few people that are speaking the language today. You know, just like us, we don't speak our native tongue since we've been in captivity.
And not all, there's still some. It's not like we should be. But there's some, and there's some of us that's waking up and going back to it. And like I said, you can go through all the brothers, Chief Two Hogs. There's a lot of the brothers and stuff that's doing this in them tribes and stuff that you'll find out when you go to the Lenapes. And you go to all these, the Narragansetts and all these other ones. You'll find that, and you'll see. Nobody has a so-called African. None of them. But you can find these tribes that she's talking about, the ones that's ducked off, that's not federally recognized, that's speaking this. The Gula and them, that they say, oh, that's part African, has got to die. Nah. You just start to learn. So let's get it.
We're not. You know, all of us, our identities got screwed up. And the same with these Indians when they were all relocated out of New Jersey and thrown into Oklahoma.
Shuffled around.
They lost a big part of their identity.
Hollywood shuffle them around.
So just mass confusion everywhere. Now, the Shawnee and Muncie Indians spoke what they call Algonquinian language. Okay, this is what they said they spoke.
Algonquian.
So I was like, okay, and for short they call it Algic. So I'm like, okay. Now this man right here actually, he wrote about the Algic language that the Indians were speaking. And you can find this on Amazon and read it for yourself. This man's name was Henry Schoolcraft. And he actually studied the Indians that were here in New Jersey and their language.
Like the world
and
does us.
Their Hebrew customs that they...
Like the world does with us. Study everything. That internet, it opened up a whole shebang for everybody to see how we do it. And they all doing it how we doing it. But they don't do it like we do it. And like we say, it's in us, not on us. It's in us, not on us. And yeah, we did put a lot of what's in us into some of y'all too. But it's in us, not on us.
They had at the time. That's right, Hebrew customs. So this is what he said in his book. And let me go back. I should tell you, Algic researches comprising inquiries respecting the mental, volume 2, perfect library. This is on paperback, $15.90 on Amazon. I'm going to show you an excerpt from this book.
It'll go up once we start getting hold of it.
So it says, and hence, it is hence that the Hebrew, the initial language, becomes so important in the investigation. We may indeed regard it as furnishing a key to the principles of grammatical utterance in the East. Did you hear what I said? Hebrew was spoken in the East part of the United States.
Let them know.
Okay?
Bring them
arrows. It was
arrows.
spoken in the eastern part of the United States.
Sis is bringing them arrows, y'all. She's shooting arrows, man. That's arrows up right there. And that's what I was talking about earlier. As you look into Pio de Jesus Pico. And this brother right here, Pio de Jesus Pico, he's a very interesting brother. Pico's racial background, as reflected in the few existing portraits and family census records, has been the subject of much interest. Scholars have correctly described Governor Pico as a so-called Afro-Mexican, and for good reason. The basic social and cultural patterns of Mexican society that his grandparents and other settlers brought to California have been developed in Sonora and Sinaloa during the previous 200 years. So-called Africans have begun to enter these provinces, many as slaves in the 17th century. Not Africans, Indians. And their descendants were racially mixed by the time of the colonization of California in the 18th century. This is where you get the mestizos, our brothers and sisters, the Latinos, that share our ancestors, right? And if you notice with this guy Pico, right, he got streets and everything named after him. Same thing like the brother Mateo de Costa, that's in Canada. He got street schools, everything named after him. So did this brother right here, Pico. That's why you see a lot of in LA, you see a lot of the Chicanos and stuff like that, and the Cholos, they'll have Pico Boulevard tattooed on them. That's their set, their hood, Pico. And they don't even know, a lot of them, that this was a brother. Right? And it says, and their descendants were racially mixed by the time of the colonization of California in the 18th century. Indios, what? Mulattoes, mestizos, and other persons of mixed race were not a rarity in Sonora and Sinaloa, but were actually the majority population. Yeah, you can't go with that, the majority, because they tell us that now, but you can find us everywhere too. And you don't find a lot of the mestizos and stuff in Louisiana. There's places you still don't find them people at. This understanding of the Pico family offers further documentation of the so-called African presence in Mexican history. It is also important to note that of the original 44 founders of Pobladores of Los Angeles, where Pio Pico spent most of his life, 26 were of so-called African descent. What? Of the 44, 26 were of so-called African descent? And he was the last governor of California. This is Pio Pico. Under the Mexican rule, serving from 1845 to 46, just before the U.S. military occupation. This is where you get all this. That's when it started getting funky. So y'all see, our people is everywhere, man. We've been doing all this. Now let's get it.
All right, so let's go on. It has been observed that the custom of female separation, upon the violation of which the present tale is founded, is a Hebrew custom identified with the written institution of the Pentateuch. What's the Pentateuch? The 5 books of Moses. The 5 books of Moses. 5 books of Moses. A lodge of separation is established at these periods by all the Algic tribes. So he's telling you the Algic tribes spoke Hebrew, and they had Hebrew customs that they lived according to the Pentateuch, which is in the Old Testament of the Bible. That's what they lived by.
Bust that dome, tomahawk style. Split it.
Okay?
Scalp.
That's what they lived by.
Split his dome.
Hebrew customs.
Split his wig. Push his wig back. Get him, sis.
So I'm going to get even deeper with y'all on this one. There is a book called Native Americans as Mulattoes. Native Americans as mulattoes. See, the Native Americans of today are not the original people that were in the land back in the 1500s. They are not the original people.
Nope, you don't find them on the census.
Many of them are a mixture of Caucasian. And let's just put it this way. Any Indian tribes that are receiving reparations are not original Indians.
Nope.
If they are getting reparations, they're not original.
Nope.
Any Indian tribes that are not receiving any type of reparations, those are your original Indians. I can't sum it up any better than that.
Man, she dropped that. That's a cold one, y'all. Man, that's a bomb. And y'all just don't even understand who you are. It's time to wake up, man. But go ahead and check the sister out, Lisa Cabrera. And this was streamed live on February 7, 2020. Go and check the sister out. Support. When y'all see our people coming out like this and understanding who they are, you know that we're in the end times when this knowledge is increasing. And it's time for us to shake off these spells and curses that continue to plague us and hunt us. You want your culture back? It's time to get it. It's sitting right before you. All you got to do is grab it. So on that note, I'm going to close out. I'm going to show y'all something. Show y'all that we ain't no people that got enslaved by these people and drug off no dang ships and all that. We them wild Indians they always talk about. So pay attention. Our people are warriors. Warriors. By nature. Even in our fallen state. Even when we don't look the same physically. We still them wild Indians. And we still know how to get busy. We still got that soul in us and will to survive. We shall overcome. But until we know who we are and get these labels off of us, we still up under their curses and they spells. These are not slaves. Slaves don't do this.
House, this is my house. Look. Oh,
Shooting,
that
killing,
shot
and harming each other.
you.
Now look what she do.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Throwing up gang signs
Like
still.
this side, that oh man.
Jungle life, baby. God still good. You hear me?
Girl.
Hey, y'all still good.
I'm gonna get off this last.
Y'all see that? Y'all see that? Is y'all paying attention?
House, this is my house. Look. Oh, that shot you.
That giant granddaughter.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Granddaughter, you never heard?
Thug life, this side, that oh man.
Jungle life, baby. God still good. You hear me?
Girl. I'm gonna get off this last.
Y'all hear that? Huh? These is not slaves. These is not the descendants of slaves, people that was drugged places they didn't want to be. These is Indians of America. That's as wild as can be. These sisters will beat the dog mess out of a pilgrim. They come on the wrong way. I'm talking about a man. They will beat the dog mess out of a grown pilgrim man. If you come at them the wrong way, approach them the wrong way. These are still same wild people that have lost our way. And we got to get it back. And on that note, I want to say shalom to y'all. Know your history. Don't be told by some people that you know have an agenda. Research, put in the work. Get them bows ready. Put them arrows in the sky. Ain't nobody bought you on no wooden ships with no motors. Cross no Atlantic. Disease-stricken people. That was them. And we tend to think that when they be talking about Darwinism and all this stuff, remember, you were not included into their discussions back then. You weren't considered them. You weren't a so-called human being. You were filthy. You were animals. So when they're talking about our history, don't include that with yourself. You have your own history. And it's not a mystery. That's what they have to go through. And that's not to disrespect anybody, but they have their own history to go and look for and find. We know ours. They just flipped it and turned themselves into us. In the same way you find them everywhere was in the past where we were everywhere doing that, bringing culture to everybody. Australia shores and everything. We just fell along the way. And the Most High brought a judgment upon us and brought some descendants of the fallen to interrupt what we were doing that was wrong as we strayed away. So on that note, when they say Shalawam, make sure you search every matter diligently. Peace and power to the people. Shalawam, shalawam, like I was telling y'all. This right here is a prime example of who we are. We the real Indians, no matter, we do their food and everything. They manipulated us and got us in a bad position. But we still got that spirit within us. This is Yasharala at his finest. You ain't finna bring none of these people over here on none of them slave ships from no so-called Africa. We the ones that's about it. They get it popping off at any minute. And yeah, we fell away from the Most High. And we doing it out of out of our ignorance and unrighteousness. But we coming back, we shall overcome. But pay attention. And watch out. My whole thing is what I'm trying to point to y'all is we are not the people that was brought over here from no other continent. We on our motherland. This is us, the wild ones. We the ones that can't be contained. These are females, these wild Indian women, even in our state of darkness, we got that spirit in us. They will beat a male pilgrim down. I remember a sister when she was getting into it one time. I was in the store. She was getting into it with a pale face, and the dude was like real disrespectful, and you can tell he was like drunk or whatever, and like started talking like crazy to her. So I'm like, hold on, what's going on? I'm like, I don't even know the sister, but I'm like, hold on, what's going on? What's up with you, man? And she's like, I got it. I ain't worried about him. I'll slam him all over the store. And that's how our people is. From the going back to your grandmas, great grandmas, they all had that in there. Ain't nobody getting beat up by these pale faces and drugged nowhere. Come on, man. We warriors, man. We better than that, y'all. We ain't never been no weak people. Now check this out.
House, this is my house. Look.
She getting into it with some other Indians in the hood.
Oh.
Then got off shots on her.
That shop. Shoot.
Let giant granddaughter.
Oh yeah, that
Look.
yeah.
Look what she do though.
Like this, that old man.
Jungle life, baby. God still good. You hear me?
Hey, you're still good.
Girl, I'm gonna get off this ladder.
Y'all hear that? Y'all see how we get down? And still said the Most High still good. Shot. Laying there. These aren't people you'd bring over on slave ships. These are the ones that bring you over on the slave ships. Flip the whole, your whole plan on your head. These are the wild ones that have been mentally taken off their land. This is Judith. When you read about Judith, that's why Yasharallah is us. That just makes perfectly sense that we will be Yasharallah. Because that don't make sense when you read about Judith and her with Holofernes and Judas, whose name means lady, Jew, so-called Jew, Yasharallah, or Yasharallah woman, was a strikingly beautiful widow. She overhears plans for surrender amongst her people. She decides to deliver the city. She creeps into the Syrian camp, seduces Holofernes, who is a high general of Nebuchadnezzar. She seduces him. You already know how the copper women do that. These Indians do it. You see how these senators and stuff be falling victim, and Bill Clinton and all of them to our people. They're not going for the Native Americans, so-called Native Americans. No disrespect to them. They're not going for the Mongols. They want these ones. They're the ones going in the strip clubs and finding these ones and bringing them out and getting found and busted in all these sports, NFL, high-ranking people and senators and all this stuff, politicians, all getting caught with them. So she creeps into the Syrian camp, seduces Holofernes with her captivating beauty, waits until he is thoroughly drunk, and cuts his head off. That right there is what you see amongst our people. Ain't no pale faces finna be doing that. Ain't no so-called in them Jewish people, the semis, ain't none of them finna be, you don't see their women nothing like that. But our women, you could see that. That fits with these scriptures. That's our women, the Judas. And on that note, make sure y'all studying diligently. Shalawam once again.